Are you looking for a fun seasonal way to bring Spanish comprehensible input into your classes this fall? I've got just the thing for you. As October is turning into November, what better way to practice colors, clothing, and family vocabulary than with a turkey-themed story with a fun little twist. Your students are gonna laugh, they're gonna think it's hilarious, you will think it's hilarious if I don't spoil the ending for you in this video, which I might, we'll see. And they'll have so much fun while they're practicing their Spanish. Hey, my name is Ashley, aka Señorita Spanish, where I provide easy-to-use resources to save you time and energy while you're lesson planning. If you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything that I mentioned will be down in the description box below this video. Let's look at the story and what sort of vocabulary and verbs are included so you know, is this going to be a good fit for my classes or not? So it's actually like a cute little mini book. So you could just print it, cut it in half, and then I just stapled it together. It comes in black and white or color. So if you have access to a color printer and you want to just print it and put it in your FVR library, totally an option. So the reading includes common high-frequency verbs in the present tense that your students are probably already familiar with. Things like quiere, lleva, dice, right? Words that they've probably heard if you've done any stories already this year. And then it also emphasizes clothing vocabulary and color words along with family members. So let me explain the gist of the story. Paco, who is our main character, is trying to convince his family members to peace out of the farm before Thanksgiving gets here. But his family members have the tradition of just dressing up and trying to like disguise themselves for safety, obviously. So that's where the clothing and colors vocabulary comes in. His different family members are wearing fun costumes, and throughout the story it describes what they're wearing, the colors of the clothing that they're wearing, and of course each family member. So it hits lots of that vocabulary that your novices are probably already using. Oh, and the reading is written in present tense. So here's a few creative ways you could use this story in your Spanish 1 or Spanish 2 classes. I even had a few people tell me that they used it with their upper levels because they saw the activities that their lower classes were doing and they're like, hey, I want to do that. So here are some ideas for ways you can use this in your classes. First up, you might want to do a pre-reading activity, especially if it's been a little while since they've done clothing vocabulary or you haven't done it yet. You might want to have them do some sort of like, I always do this as a brain break, right? If you know, levántense sí, and then you just have them stand up if they're wearing whatever it is. And you can put some supports on the screen and you just play it a couple of times. Super easy. You can do that with clothing and with colors, and it's a great way to kind of refresh their brains and for you to double check like where are they at with those words. Then during their reading, you can either read the story out loud to them like story time, you can have them read together in pairs, you can have them read in small groups, you can do any reading out loud activity. I have a whole bunch, I'll link them for you below if you want some ideas for ways you can read it. Super simple. You definitely will want to check for understanding as you go. Just, you know, same old reading strategies you are a pro at. Just like all of my printable stories, there is vocabulary on the bottom just for them to be able to refer to. I went pretty heavy on the support this time because I wanted to make sure that, you know, if it was something you were just pulling in for seasonal fun, that students could really understand and just enjoy the story and they're getting that input still. But of course, you can always just cut that off if you would rather not, or white it out before you make copies. Up to you. Of course, this printable story comes with activities, so let's talk about what you can do during and after reading the story with your classes. This sheet is a great read along and do at the same time kind of activity, or a follow-up activity. And if you're familiar with read and draw, that's what this is. So students read a sentence that comes from the story. So like the first one says, Paco tiene una familia grande y toda su familia vive en la granja con él. Okay, so what they're going to do is they're going to read that and then they're going to draw a picture right here to show that they understood what that sentence is talking about. The rest of the sentences all focus on the clothing and colors and family members that they read about in the story. Another great follow-up activity is this one. Those are the main characters' family members in all of their costumed disguise glory. So what this one says is, this is Paco's family. Near each turkey, write their relationship to Paco. So they are, you know, checking that family member understanding. Then they're going to color each picture in according to their understanding of the reading. This is one where if you're planning on using the sheet, I would make sure to print the story in black and white because the illustrations will give this away so that they could just look at it. So if you want to check clothing and color vocabulary, make sure you're using the black and white version of the reading instead of the color one. Next up, this one is a summary graphic organizer. So you could do it right after reading, you could do it the next day as a like, hey, do you remember the story we were working with? That kind of thing. It's just who, what do they want, what's the problem, then what do they do, Okay, finally, how does this story resolve? What's the resolution of the story? And then the last piece is write your opinion. Do you like the story? Why? Why not? Like, what do you think? So it's a very simple graphic organizer. You can see there's some little subtitles there to kind of support them so that it's not just like, tell me the person, and they're like, what? Okay, I saved the best for last. This is probably my favorite activity to do with this story. So Paco is all about trying to convince his family members to escape, and his family members are all about disguising themselves, right? Here's the follow-up. There are 2 versions of this sheet. This one has a turkey on it, this one doesn't. Otherwise, the activity is the same. So one of them, your students will just color right on the turkey. The other one requires them to draw a turkey and then do the activity. Totally up to you. Otherwise, it's the same. So it just says, imagine that there's another family member in Paco's family, and what do they wear? Draw and illustrate, then write a description of their costume. Make sure you include clothing and colors that they're wearing. So, super fun, super easy way to follow up this story and kind of fit it in. And then if you wanted to, you could build on that even more. So say you're using this for like the short week before Thanksgiving break, if your school has that like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday sort of schedule, or even the Monday, Tuesday schedule, and you're like, okay, I like this story, but I want to stretch it a little bit. So you've done their reading, you've done some of the activities, you had them do their disguises. Now you can have them do a follow-up vocabulary activity with a gallery walk. I love gallery walks. So the way that you're going to do it with this one is after your students are done coloring, decorating, describing, hang them up. This is your gallery walk material for the input. For the gallery walk, you know that I am a big fan of having some sort of piece that the students are doing with it. So the students aren't just walking around looking kind of willy-nilly. I find that to be a classroom management issue often. So if we're doing a gallery walk, we have to do a something with the material to help hold them accountable and just make sure everybody is, doing what they need to be doing. So some options for your gallery walk activities, right? You hang up all of their turkey disguises, and you could have it be like, okay, we're going to pick the best disguises. So you can have them write down their favorites and vote for their favorite. You can have them pick 5 and write what they see in the picture, write the illustrations. If you're going to do that, you can always just fold back the student who wrote the description, so that way they're not using what their classmates wrote to just write themselves. Or you could always have them write descriptions in English of their favorites. You could have them tally like how many turkeys included this clothing item, how many turkeys included these colors. Really simple, but just something that's saying, hey, are you looking at them? Are you reading them? And are you staying on task and doing what you need to do so that you're getting that information? So easy peasy way to follow up and kind of stretch this activity out. And it's also really fun to see what their classmates came up with because they're super creative, so that way they can show off their work. This download comes with a printable story in color and black and white, so you can just print it off and use it in your FER library, or you can print it, make copies, and use it with all the activities that we just talked about. It also comes with 3 comprehension activities. So that's the story summary sheet, the color and label the family members, and the read and draw comprehension activity. Then it comes with that follow-up creative writing and coloring activity that I showed you. This is the same, right? One just helps them draw turkey, and the other one says, make the turkey on your own, you're on your own, be creative. Again, totally up to you. I also have some teacher's notes in the download for you in case you just want some extra support and some help for different ways you could use this in your classes. I'm here to help. If this sounds like something that you want to use in your Spanish lesson plans this month, make sure you check the link below to download so that way you can use it with your students. If you have any questions, of course, drop me a comment down below. I am happy to help you out. Otherwise, make sure you check out my video here on Thanksgiving activities for your Spanish classes. I know, Thanksgiving is not a Spanish holiday, but I'm team, if we could talk about it in Spanish and they're into it and I'm into it, let's do it. So, Thanksgiving activities for your Spanish classes are here for you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.